Welcome to the Tigs Bits Christmas special. We're celebrating Christmas the only way that we know how. Talking about the traditions that we love, the songs we can't stop singing, the movies that we know by heart, and those favorite holiday foods that we crave every year. Plus, we're going to take a little journey to some of the best Christmas destinations. It's going to be festive. It's going to be a fun-packed show. Boys, it is good to see y'all. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
in the
folks.
studio
Love
together.
It. Good to see you
Cheers,
guys.
For the first time in a
cheers. When
while.
ordinary just won't do, folks, get yourself a Buffalo Rock spiced ginger ale since 1901. Oh, yeah. I saw those in the grocery store earlier tonight. I was going through and feeling all festive, and like going through. I don't drink a lot of sodas. I was like, you know what? I got to get me one of these Buffalo Rock spiced ginger ales to sip on tonight.
Love it.
So.
Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? That
Oh,
sounds delicious. That
It
sounds
is.
delicious. One thing I can already tell you that is not in this show, we're going to talk about a lot of good stuff throughout this one. I mean, we're going to talk about those Christmas traditions that kind of bring us together, holiday songs that, are just some classics, maybe some new stuff. We've talked about a lot of this stuff. In fact, you can go back and go to our YouTube page, go to tigsbits.com. You can check out some of our older shows. Last year, kind of a fun little Tigs Bits fact, whenever we started going live, which we do every week, generally on Wednesday or Thursday nights, when we started all of that, we started with a bracket that broke down Christmas songs and Christmas movies, and we did it NCAA tournament style. And it took us about 6 hours to break all that down.
Oh, my God, I just remember that. Yeah. It took forever, yes.
That was a long tournament.
We were running out of gas there at the end.
It was longer than we did, and it was longer than the dang NCAA tournament. It was a little too much. So we're going to spare you that.
It was our first time ever doing that, though, and so we wanted to take our time and make sure we were being selective. And it was.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's like the first time you do anything, it takes you a lot longer, then you get better at it, right?
That's
what
exactly
this is now. Yep.
After about an hour and 45 minutes, and we're on like the 8 seed versus the whatever. It's like
and we ain't see it eye to eye. So it is what it is.
No. Which that was part of the fun. That
Christmas
was part
and
of the
Dixie.
fun.
I've heard Christmas and Dixie.
We're going to revisit.
So it is Christmas time for me. I can officially say that.
Oh yeah, well,
I have been wearing
we
some
are going
Christmas
to definitely get to some of those music.
Wearing it out.
Have you?
Alexa, play Christmas jazz
too.
like it's going out of style. Can't get enough of it.
Oh,
it's a marshmallow world.
I love it.
So I'm ready. Let's do it. That's my new favorite. It's a marshmallow world. That's my Dean Martin. That's one of my new Christmas favorites. I've been singing a piss out.
There you go. There we go. I like it.
I'm going to have to listen to that after this show. I'm not 100% sure. I know I've
Watch
heard
it on YouTube.
I know I've heard it.
Because they have all these songs that there was not a traditional music video to. Now on YouTube, someone at a high level has went and made animated music videos for all these classic songs, and they're great. Just go to YouTube. The first one that'll pop up.
Wow.
I haven't done the YouTube. See, I just do Alexa.
No.
I'm in the house, in the den. I come in. I get it rolling. You know what I mean? It's rolling right now.
See, I've got the turtle box hooked up to the big TV.
Bing Crosby when I walked out.
Get the YouTube going. So you got the color, the lights going on. Got the lights going on, and then pumping that music through the turtle box.
Yes.
And I put that when you start on one, it just kind of gives you something in the same vein, so it keeps it rolling. But the animated, it's really done well. It's really a high level stuff, and it goes well with the songs, and it gives you the lyrics written out. So that's neat to actually know what all the words really are. And you're kind of like, wow, that's different.
One of the traditions that I used to have growing up as a kid, a childhood memory of mine, was at a place called Hodges Gardens, not far out of Florine, where I grew up. They had like a golf course. They had waterfalls, a rose garden, like a world-renowned rose garden. That was it was featured for sure in Southern Living and stuff like that. And I mean, the heyday of this place was in the 60s and 70s. A restaurant, just a quality restaurant, just amazing. It always kind of reminds me of like it wasn't a camp or anything like this, but like in Dirty Dancing, where they were off at that lake at a place that was kind of like that.
Borscht Belt
That's
resort.
what it always
big
reminded
resort
me
up
of.
in the Catskills.
Yes, it was kind of like it was a resort.
Yeah,
that's what it was called.
And there probably
Toro
wasn't
Hills
anything
Resort
from
and
there
Hodges
until
Gardens.
the next big city. Probably wasn't much. It was like an oasis out there, you know. In that part of the country.
Yeah, it was kind of in between Cypress, or kind of in between Lake Charles and Shreveport, like dead in the middle. That's where Florine is, right there along the Louisiana-Texas border. And man, but it was so awesome. And as a kid, they always had this massive Christmas display. When you would drive into the park, pay whatever, you drive through because you couldn't walk it, and all along the coming in's covered in lights, and they have a beautiful lake in there and covered in lights and water fountains and all of the beautiful rose gardens, just all these little things. It was breathtaking as a kid, but we started to take it kind of for granted because we saw it all the time. You know, we went every year to Christmas. It was just like, whatever.
It ain't there no more.
Until things happened and it ain't there no more. And a lot of the stuff as I was a kid is now on display at Cypress Bend Park. And our good friends, Toledo Bend Lake Country, is sponsor of our show. You can go drive through the park and see all of these lights. Now, of course, they've added modern lights. It's a lot of modern stuff, but some of those same things that were on display back when I was a kid are now on display out at Cypress Bend.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can drive through and see them.
You still drive through the lights and all. Yeah.
Yeah. They have these mechanical elves that were in this house. They have a long story that's with it that you can read the story of where they came from, but that's came from like New York City in the 20s or the 30s, something like that, and they're all handmade. They've had a guy who I went to school with, Billy Nixon, who has restored them to where they're in working order, but they're on a timer, so like they'll go for about 10 seconds or so, and then one will stop, and then the other one will do, and all this. But they were in Santa's workshop.
Yeah, I mean, so, you know, it's funny you say that because one of the big things I never went to was Callaway Gardens, and it reminded me of thinking of that, which is over in Georgia. But what we used to go to as a kid is in Ayrton, Alabama, out in the middle of nowhere in the country. It's kind of the redneck version of this, but dude, it was unreal. Like you would pull in to drive through, and these people at their house on their land out in the middle of a field and stuff had created this pathway and added to it every single year. I hadn't been there in a ton of years, but the last time I was there, it was absolutely unreal. Like going through that whole, people would just line up bumper to bumper, you know what I mean? Trying to get in this place. So that was super cool. And I'd forgot about that until you just said that. Now we do that in Defuniac now. There's it's this natural, perfectly round lake in the middle of Defuniac when there's all those old historic houses are around it. And they do something every year very similar where you drive around the lake, and we'll stop along the way. We used to, when the kids were younger, do like, take hot chocolate and stuff like that, stop, let the kids run around a little bit. So that's really cool. Just to go in and do anything like that is super cool.
Yeah, I know. Same. Yeah. I remember when we were in Jackson, Mississippi, we'd always go there for my grandparents. We would just drive, and there were certain neighborhoods that my granddad knew about, and it would be the whole neighborhood decked out, each house, top and bottom, some with the music in the yard. I mean, just people, Santa, the whole deal. I remember that distinctly when I was real little, and we did that up until I drove us in the van with everyone. You know, and then I tell you a similar thing like you were just saying about driving through. Sharice and I, my wife and I, a few years ago, were coming back from Nashville and just randomly saw a place off the side of like I-40 and went through it. You tune in your radio and drive through like this, like a big
like a parking lot.
It was
parking lot
so impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, the videos don't do it justice, but man, really cool.
Yeah. Some of the more simple things that I think we maybe take for granted a little bit, the Christmas tree. I mean, that's a tradition that's everywhere. I had no idea where it actually originated from. Where did this come from? It originated in Germany in the 16th century. which I think is kind of where the story of Santa Claus and all of that
Claus
comes from, if I remember right.
So that would have been 1500
old
something.
I redid my tree this year. I took all the lights off of it. I mean, I'm talking, I ended up having to get snips to get them out of there. Like just to strip it down and start it all over.
On, aren't they?
And it took me probably 4 hours because my mom taught me this technique, and she's real particular about how you put lights on a tree. You don't just swirl them around it. You got to go up and down every limb and weave in and weave out. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make my mom proud. Start at the bottom and work my way all the way to the top. That tree looks phenomenal, though. That's probably the best looking tree I've ever done. So.
It really does. And it dances with the lights really, really well. I love it. I love a good Christmas tree. In fact, we have 2 in the house. The Mardi Gras tree is now the main Christmas tree. And the trees have even flip-flopped. It didn't even get to stay in the same position. It's now in the living room.
That tree that tree has been up for a full year, hasn't it?
Full year. It ain't going down anytime soon either. As soon as Christmas is over, back to the Mardi Gras tree.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
So, in fact, they're both so out of the way that I don't see any reason why we can't have 2 Mardi Gras trees.
Why wouldn't
and
you?
These suckers just stay up all year long. But
why wouldn't you?
That's just me.
Mine may stay up a little longer too. I think it's. I'm proud of it. I gave
you
got
should
the
be
garland up there. Yeah. I am.
So some other traditions that go with a Christmas tree go in that same room, in the living room, in my opinion. Stockings by the fireplace. If you don't have a fireplace, sometimes you hang them in other.
Yeah, we have them just hanging on a little hanger with a hook off the front of the console under the TV, because we don't have a fireplace. I live at the beach.
The kid stockings are up right now. I used to use the stockings back in the day when I was a kid. My mom still got them. I need to get them. They were actually real, like, thick hose stockings. You know what I mean? And they would stretch, dude. You could put some stuff in there, boy. I mean, you could load that thing down.
That's what my sister and I had, those old wool socks. It would stretch. And my sister's, it started off as just a normal sock, a normal, like, wool sock. That thing is about that long now. She still has it. She still uses it. She puts stuff in it. Mine got fairly long too, but I guess mine may be in the living room right now. That's terrible to say.
It just made me think of something I didn't write down. Like one of the traditions that we do with the tree, and the boys have not found it yet. Speaking of finding something, and not that little elf on the shelf. We do it's a Christmas pickle, and it's a little pickle ornament. I hide in the tree somewhere, really deep into the tree, and they got to find the pickle. They still haven't found the pickle this year.
Wow.
Like that thing's up in there. You know what I mean? So now they hadn't spent a lot of time yet. They've gone by and moved on. Like, who's going to find the pickle? It usually happens pretty quick. So that's a little tradition that we started with cool. With the boys, and it's something fun.
That's funny. They say in Louisiana they don't do the elf on the shelf. They do the Rougarou on a Subaru.
That's awesome.
I've actually not ever heard that. That's fantastic. I love that.
Rougarou on a Subaru.
I believe it. That's a Homa deal. What about caroling and holiday music? I think of Christmas.
We never really did that. We rather did that. I tell you something cool though that was just, it has the singing involved in it. I grew up in a real small town in Alabama, eclectic Alabama, outside of Montgomery, between Montgomery and Birmingham. And they did a thing involved with our church that someone's property was set up, and it was called an eclectic Christmas. And you go through, you start and you walk, and you have to ride on some parts, but you go to different sections, and it's a lidded path and different things, and it explains the whole history of Christmas and Christ and all that stuff. It was beautiful, and actually it's very cool. One of my dear friends from high school just got asked, and he's a part of it now, which is awesome. But we always did that as kids because we lived out in the sticks. You couldn't walk anywhere. Everybody was so spread out. There was no neighborhoods really. Everybody lived down roads, so you couldn't walk to each other's houses to carol. You'd only make it like 2 houses in an hour. So they had things like that and things at the church. It was church based, where it was most everything was church or school. Which school always did some cool stuff, but again, it was such a country place. It wasn't like we had big plays and big productions and stuff. It was that, but an eclectic Christmas. If you're in Central Alabama or anywhere really want to see something very cool, I would suggest checking that out. It was really impactful, and I remember it all these years later.
Yeah, I know in good old Elba, Alabama. So I grew up in Elba until I was like 11, and then moved over to Opp, which is only 15 minutes away. But in Elba, we used to do the caroling because the First Baptist Church was downtown, and we would go from, just start cruising around downtown to all the houses. And that was so cool, man. I remember one time specifically, this older lady came out. We used to always think she was just like a witch or something, when the house was kind of like old a little bit. And she always stayed inside. It was like nobody ever sees her. And she came out and we started caroling to her. Remember, we were all kind of giggling with each other, like, oh, she even gonna come on the porch. Dude, not only did she come on the porch, she came on the porch and she started crying. And you realize, I was like, oh, man, this is really
awesome,
cool, dude.
Man.
It made me realize how cool that is. Even when I see it in movies and stuff, it's like, oh, man, it's actually a real person.
Awesome.
She actually has
I thought you were going to say
emotions.
she came out there and Mariah carried y'all and just sang like a professional singer. When somebody randomly can really sing pretty good and they break out the extra specials at church or at an airport or something.
Oh, yeah. It basically turned into a musical. They recorded the whole thing. Yeah, you can go on YouTube and check it. It's got millions of views.
It'll be coming out next week.
Hey, I'll tell y'all
Tigs
something
Bits.
I don't. Something else that everybody, I think we'll all remember. What about the little figurines of the nativity scene that you put on the table, like your grandma or your mom or whoever would put on the table? It was the figures with the little fake cotton and the straw stuff and the whole deal. The little ceramic ones. Monster
Christmas village.
Yeah, my grandmother does too. The whole dining table that we never use that table for anything has just a whole deal with the manger scene, all these houses.
Yes, I forgot all about that. She's got all that stuff still.
I love that.
Yes, yeah.
My grandmother has passed it on now and wants my mom to do it. My mom doesn't do all that, so it's like, oh man, I miss it.
This was something that was a heated discussion last year, as we said at the top of the show, whenever we did our bracketology of breaking down Christmas songs. We certainly had some upsets along the way and all of that. We ain't doing that tonight. We're not going back into that kind of thing. We're just going to simply talk about some of the timeless classics that are out there, some modern Christmas favorites, maybe some upbeat songs, some funny songs, stuff like that. So kind of just to start it off, what is your favorite Christmas song of all time, your personal favorite Christmas? I will start with you, JR. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
My favorite one this year so far is It's a Marshmallow World.
It's a Marshmallow World, and I'm not familiar with it.
You'll know when you hear it. You'll be like, it sounds like an Andy Williams traditional standard song, but it's
okay.
It's Dean Martin. It's that era. Yeah, I love it, and it's and like I said, you can watch it on YouTube video.
I can't wait.
It's really cool, and to know the lyrics. And it really doesn't even say Christmas, but it implies the wintertime and the snow and stuff. Which is funny because I'm a big Robert Earl Keen fan, and he has classically wrote Merry Christmas from the Family, which is a tale of the different side of Christmas, not those traditional jingles. And he said he wrote that song because he grew up in Houston, Texas, and when they play all these Christmas songs on the radio every year, he's like, well, we don't have snow and we don't sleigh, we don't have no ice. He said, I live in Houston. So when he grew up, he wrote that song thinking back of all those songs. He was like, we were out there pulling ourselves in the dirt, because there wasn't snow in Houston in winter and Christmas. So,
yeah.
Well, then there's other places that have to have their regional Christmas themes, like Christmas Island, Leon Redbone and Dr. John when they do some stuff together on that stuff. Jimmy Buffett's Christmas stuff. There's Island, the Hawaiian Christmas song, which is a lot of times one of my favorite Christmas songs of the year. The Jamie Johnson version of that on his album South Alabama Christmas. That's so
great.
Good.
That is so good. I was listening to that the other day when I was putting that tree together.
I heard that in the background. Yes, I heard that. So there's the traditional that you're going to see on mainstream television. Then there's your regional traditional that everybody likes where they're from. Because you take like a New Orleans cat, there's a whole nother playlist for Christmas. If you're from New Orleans, if you're from Atlanta, if you're from LA, if you're from Brooklyn, it's going to be a completely different playlist. But then there's the main vein of these classic ones that are in the movies and shows that everyone had to see on mainstream stuff is kind of where it goes.
What about you, Blasey? What's your favorite Christmas song of all time?
Well, it's funny, last year we were going through ranking all those things and we came in and we, decided like the greatest of all time was Silent Night. I think we put it at the top, like as far as just like traditional. Well, this year I'm kind of feeling a little bit more traditional than I was even last year. I look at those rankings and how those things move. And dude, I've got top 3. We got Bing Crosby just with a clean sweep here, running all through them. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. White Christmas, And Silent Night, dude. Give me him all day long on those three, and little Judy Garland coming on the back end. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Have yourself like so. This year for me, I kind of started early. I usually kind of wait, and it's like, oh my gosh, here it is. I got to get moving. I got out literally the weekend after Thanksgiving and just started getting after it, putting everything up, and just playing Christmas music. And so it's been good this year, man. But I've kind of gone old school. Listen to these older ones, and I'm feeling that right now. So,
yep,
Bing Cosby for the sweet.
I'm with you on the old school.
I still, I get in my car. It's tuned here in Baton Rouge to 96.1 The River.
Oh, the
and the river, it runs through it.
But
no, and they play nothing. They play traditional Christmas songs. I like to drive around Baton Rouge and listen to the radio. Still good old terrestrial radio. At Christmas time, playing nothing but Christmas jams, man. And I agree with you. I've been jamming a lot of Bing. You're going to hear him a lot this year. Michael Bublé.
Great job.
I think I put that on a little version of a Christmas video I did of the lights at Cypress Bend. I mean, you can't go wrong with anything off of that album. I mean,
not at all.
I'll tell you one that I love, and I've loved. It's gone up my. We just had Spotify's Wrapped and Apple's Replay and all of that stuff. If I had a running list of Christmas songs for me, this one's made a monster run up my chart. It's Run Rudolph Run by Chuck Berry, simply because of JR and him opening up this catalog of Chuck Berry for me.
How awesome is that song?
Wow.
Run,
like, I didn't know
it's rocking. It's rocking. I need a rock and roll guitar.
That's so good.
It's such a
fantastic. It's fantastic. Of course, Baby Come Home for Christmas, whatever, the Eagles version of that. You know what I mean?
Jackson 5, I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa.
Songs,
classic.
Yeah. Yes. Just all.
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Foxworthy,
classic
12 days, Redneck Days of Christmas. What about the Louisiana? What about the New Orleans 12 Days of Christmas? That thing is hilarious. The video of that from back in the day. That like Channel 8 New Orleans did like back in the day. It's so awesome, man. If you don't know what we're talking about, look for New Orleans 12 Days of Christmas. You will not be disappointed. You want to see some regionality.
I saw Grandma got ran over by a reindeer the other day. Like actually happened.
No.
Did you see that? She was walking. It was like a parade, and they were walking, and here came a reindeer and just took her out.
Wow.
It actually really happened. Now, she lived. She was fine. She didn't die like in the song.
Ray Stevens did a great job on that Christmas stuff for the country, kind of popular country style.
So good. So funny. It was good. It was real good.
Much like the songs that we also did a bracket on breaking down all of the movies. We're not going to do that tonight. We're not going to start back and have all these go head to head. We had some wild upsets along the way doing that, and you kind of just get to a point of where this movie shouldn't be facing this movie, and it's unfair. You can't just pick one out of there, but that's what we did. We did it tournament style, so we're not doing that tonight. However, I'm going to start with this. What is your favorite Christmas movie of all time, Blasey?
Man, it's still like traditional, right? So, and I put them right there, 1 and 2. You know, you could flip flop them either way. Just love Frosty and just love Rudolph. You know what I mean? Like that to me is just as nostalgic as it gets when it comes from a movie. That and really close coming in there. It's a Wonderful Life. You know, like those are just from a nostalgic standpoint that's never going to change. Fantastic. I know I just named 3. It's hard to not name another one.
It is, isn't it? That's
Christmas Vacation. Still probably the king, you know what I mean? Of just, going to watch it more than probably any of those. And then along with Landman.
Landman.
I've been watching Landman lately, so yeah.
I know, isn't it great?
It is great.
Has nothing to do with Christmas. I'm sure maybe there'll be an episode coming out here in the next couple of weeks that does. But what a fantastic show.
Great show.
Landman. Great show. Go check it out. JR, what about
very
for you?
Similar to Blasey, traditional. It's a Wonderful Life, probably up there is number 1 for me. Christmas Vacation is good. A Christmas Story, Ralphie. I mean, you shoot your eye out, kid. That one. I mean, I just love that movie. But really, any of them, I've grown to love. Elf. I love Elf these days. I mean, I really like Elf now.
Yeah.
Sharice and I watch Elf a lot.
Elf is good.
I tell you, a fun fact too, Frosty in Elf, that's Leon Redbone who sings Christmas, Christmas Island. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go. Bringing it, tying it back in. There you go.
Those traditional ones like that, never go Home Alone. I mean, any of the Christmas, and we put it on AMC. They're doing a good job of just repeating a lot of Christmas movies this year. Sharice actually, and we'll bring this up while we're on movies because it's the most highly debated Christmas movie, action movie of all time. Die Hard ends up on that list every time as a Christmas movie. So Sharice watched it for the first time ever about a week ago. She had never watched. She don't watch many movies anyway. She never watched
Die Hard.
No, she never.
She'd never seen Die Hard.
She thinks it's silly. So,
wow.
But we watched it, and she watched. Yeah,
beneath her.
She watched the whole thing, beginning to end. And I asked her. I said, "Now this is a thing that happens that people debate and say that's a Christmas movie. What do you say as a brand new person who's never until right now your first impression of that movie?" She said, "Well, I think it's an action movie that's at Christmas time because they talk about Christmas at the beginning and then there's no more Christmas." So that was her. I mean, not that, it's not a definitive thing, but that was a fresh opinion on that as a first-time viewer. And that's what I've always kind of said. And I'm not saying it's not, but it's not a traditional Christmas movie. Come on. It's just not.
It's not.
Anyway.
It's not.
So there we go.
I disagree.
There we go.
100%. I think it is the Christmas movie. I don't think
if he was trying to get back
Christmas
to
movie,
if he was they were trying to go have Christmas somewhere, that would be one thing. But they're not doing. He's just trying to go hang out with her. They're not doing Christmas or nothing.
If there's a Christmas party at the end, they're all hanging out, drinking eggnog, and enjoying Christmas and opening gifts.
It's just terrorists and a lot of death and exploding.
Tower.
It's a lot of
glass,
a lot of glass,
a lot of
broken glass.
Yeah, nothing happy and holiday about that. Great movie.
But what a great movie. What a great movie.
Watch it, and I watch.
Yeah, if you didn't check out our top 10 action movies of all time, that thing was definitely in there.
And
no
I haven't watched the beginning of it in a long time, so I forgot how
discussion.
much Christmas stuff in the beginning is going on. But anyway,
right.
That's it.
Yeah. My favorite is National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. That's my number one.
It's perfect. It's a perfect Christmas. Our generation before us, the one now, it encapsulates 100 years of America in a movie. It's like a Rockwell meets a New Deal. It's perfect.
It is.
I've wondered at some point in time, somebody's going to come back and try to remake the Lampoon movies.
You can't.
You know it's going to happen.
It is.
It's going to happen. And how will that
can't make jokes about anything anymore. It won't work. You can't make fun of anything.
It won't work.
No.
You can't.
That's right. But if you have somebody like a Shane Gillis that starts to, and they're letting them push the envelope a little bit more. These independent guys are starting to make their own movies. That's going to be the only way that something
I'm sure
like that could come out. And I think I'm open to it. But what a standard to try to beat.
What if the whole standard of us watching an hour and a half to 2 hour long movies is over at some point, and it ends up like people don't even make movies. It's just 8 hour things that you bust up into series like they do these shows these days, stuff. What if 100 years from now, there's not even movies at all. Isn't that wild?
I mean, I don't think it is wild. I don't think it's a crazy thought because people like the attention span of the younger generation, even me. I mean, my attention span, it's tough for me to get there and sit still and watch a 2 hour movie. And that didn't used to be the case for me. That's with the invention
and those
of the
shows,
iPhone.
the way they make them now, it's just like an 8 hour, 10 hour movie, and it's great. And every good movie you ever watch, you're like, wish it was longer.
It is.
Right.
Just break it down, you watch it, you know what I mean? Stop it. Yeah. It's just let's roll, stretch it. Yeah. We don't have to be in a rush here. Let's everybody slow down. So I don't know. Yeah.
We're going to dive into one of my favorite things, boys, one of the favorite parts of Christmas for me. And it always ends up having to cost me with a resolution and getting back on track. And
it smells like food in
January. Yeah, I mean, I think I've gained 5 pounds already. We're mid-December when we're filming this show, and I ain't even hit the home stretch yet. But it's tough, man. It's tough. Foods, baby. I love Christmas and some foods, and what's something, I'll kind of start this one out. One of my favorite things that I love to do whenever for a Christmas meal, of course, my mom makes dressing. A lot of the same meals, basically. It's the same foods that we have at Thanksgiving. We generally do it again, the same deal for Christmas. But we kind of started changing over the last handful of years. I started cooking a prime rib on Christmas Day because it's not hard. For whatever reason, I never noticed this in other places where I lived. I don't know if it's this way where y'all are, but prime ribs go on sale starting now, like at Rouse's and other places. Like you can go in and get big old prime ribs.
Publix does it every year. I went there tonight thinking it was, but it's not there yet. And they'll do $5.99 a pound on those things.
Yes,
I'll get one.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. I mean, it's hard to pass up big old ribeye with
big old
$5.99 a pound. Yeah. No matter what way you cut it. Yeah, it's just unbelievable. But man, I love putting a little rosemary and all that. Sear it. I reverse sear it on my grill, and then I will sear it on a skillet. Now that I have that Blackstone, I would just use the Blackstone to give it a little sear. But man, I love a good old prime rib. Period.
Oh,
and,
what would you guys consider the traditional top, like the three things that most people have at their Christmas dinner? Would it be turkey, mashed potatoes, and something?
Turkey, ham, mashed potatoes, and dressing or stuffing, whatever you call it.
Yeah, like on Christmas Day. Yeah,
that'd be like
my mom does an oyster stew every Christmas Eve. It sounds a little unusual, not traditional.
Again, depends on where you live. A lot of these will be regional.
And you just get there, and it's just there, and people show up. You know what I mean? Like when we get together on Christmas Eve, it hadn't been the case the last couple of years. It's been everybody running different directions. But, you know, you just get there, and there's oyster stew. You fix you some, you know what I mean? And you just kind of roll around. So it's easier. And then we'd still do some of the Christmas Day traditional stuff. But that's been something.
See, and when I go to Houma, where my wife's from, there is no dressing like we think of it. There's rice dressing, and there's gumbo.
Right.
There's gumbo.
Oh, I guarantee you, there's gumbo.
So it depends on where you live. And the dressing versus stuffing thing is dressing is traditionally more southern, and stuffing is a more northern of the states thing. The oyster stew, that's not, I mean, I bet a lot of people in coastal Carolinas do the same thing, New York and the harbors. I bet, oysters and shrimp and things, depending on where you live, is what a lot of people lean into. I would think, I don't know if we got into this last time. We talked about food and Christmas, but man, the sweets and the dessert type things, and because a lot of the desserts that I really like around Christmas are like the sweet potato casseroles and things. It's not necessarily just a piece of cake,
right?
But it's like a vegetable or a fruit or something and even like the Jello with the Gentilly type stuff they make, or some of those type things. I really like that, then we. Congealed salad that
type
kind of
deal,
little, because it's sweet, but it's not so sweet where you're just eating a piece of cake or ice cream. I like that. I love my grandmother's sweet potato casserole with the nuts, cinnamon type things. A lot of I love the spices of Christmas. Those are good. Speaking of stuff you can put a little cinnamon in, we mentioned this off air a little while ago, but eggnog. When you're talking about eating and drinking during Christmas time, you can't leave eggnog out of the table.
Absolutely, you can't, man. I can't wait. I love eggnog this time of the year. It's what I call a little bit of bourbon season. I haven't been drinking a lot of bourbon, but like still, if I'm going to drink some here, and I'm going to soon, there's going to be some eggnog involved, and that's going to happen. So
it's cooling off finally in the South. It's getting, you can wear jeans and not sweat. It's feeling good. I love sweets, man. This is the one time of year where I kind of overindulge on things and people make. My wife's a great cook. Fortunately, she doesn't make a whole bunch of stuff because we'll just eat it all. She does finally get cravings and has to make some stuff. But like Miss Myrtle, if you're listening to this out there, I would love to have another can of that fudge, that tin that my buddy Johnny Ergonomics, that's his mom. She sends me this tin full of the best fudge in the entire world. I promise you, I've had it since I was a kid. I mean, unbelievable. People in Florine know who's had it. it's just world class. It's just flat out world class. But
dude,
to talk about food,
hey, you know, I just pulled up a little thing, the 2020 poll here of America's top favorite dishes. 76% like roasted potatoes, 75 mashed potatoes, 73 turkey, 70 bread and rolls, 70 stuffing and dressing. So that's 76% of people try to eat roasted potatoes.
There you go.
Number one.
Wow.
There you go.
75
now we know.
turkey.
Now
Splitting hairs.
Now,
but
the more
close.
you know. The
Potatoes.
More you know.
Everybody likes a potato.
No, we're talking about food. You know, we're talking about sweets. So my stepdad, my dad, his mother, little mama. All right. So she would make, dude, she made the world's best divinity. I don't know if you have divinity.
Oh,
hers
yeah,
was
I love
light,
divinity.
super light. It wasn't like heavy and hurt your teeth. You know, it was like, oh my gosh, how's it so light and peanut brittle? Like she could. It's the best I've ever had. Best I've ever had. Now she's passed away now, so I don't get that anymore. And I wish I'd have learned how to make that. Like I'm not a baker, but I wish I'd have learned to make those two things through her. But here's a fun little fact: her brother, son, was the #1 paid actor in Hollywood last year in 2023. Not this year, 2024. I don't know how much he made this year. Shea Wiggum. You know that name?
Yes.
He's in everything. If you ever look him up, you'll realize, oh, that guy's in every movie there is. He made like $100 million last year. Yeah. So so that's her nephew.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Way to tie that back in, man.
Absolutely.
Way to tie that back in. It's hard to not love food. And especially, I mean, I do believe, I think of food at Christmas. I think of all of these things that we're talking about. Everything we've talked about. The traditions, the stockings, the Christmas trees, the Christmas lights, hanging with your friends
It used to be
and
about
family.
the gifts when you're younger. Now it's about the time spent with people you want to spend it with. You know.
Now it's about time.
It is. It is.
You know, they always say that time is your most valuable asset, and the older that I get, the more and more I realize that is just simply a fact. It just is a fact. It is the most valuable asset that we have.
No, it is. It's absolutely everything. It means everything. And there's been a couple of Christmases where it's like, man, I'm just ready for Christmas to be over with. It's so much hassle. When it gets here, I can't wait till 1st of January. But, you know, this year going into it, I was like, what am I doing, man? Like, you know, enjoy it, embrace it. Like, think about the reason for the season. Everybody says that, you know, but like really stay right here in the moment. Look at your family. Like, I kind of want to slow it down and like enjoy it. And like, hey, here's what we're doing this year. Last year, we took off on Christmas Day and went skiing. A great memory. We were going to do that again this year, but like, I just decided to just stay around here, try to kind of keep things easy. So anyway, man, yeah, this is dude, I'm embracing it this year. It's back. I'm enjoying Christmas. I'm not going to get stressed out over it. You know what I mean? We're going to hang out, see family and friends, but we ain't gonna kill ourselves trying to do anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up with going on. You know, we didn't bring up destinations, of course. Destinations of ski trips. A lot of people will go on ski trips. I've always been a stay-at-home Christmas person or go to family. You know, somewhere regionally.
I went traditionally to my grandmother's in Jackson, Mississippi my entire life up until a handful of years ago or so, really, or until Sharice and I got together and we started splitting them, you know. And then now we stick close. And this year especially, I actually had to cancel a trip. I did not want to have to cancel going out to California to be a part and celebrate of a dear friend of mine's ceremony. But I am just so burned out from travel. I mean, I can't go travel. We went down to visit went down to Key West for that vacation. And even that, the flying down there and flying back, I told Teresa, like, I can't even go on vacation. I got to have a break. I can't travel anywhere. I've got so much stuff to do around home that I'm never going to get caught up with if I don't just make myself stay close to home and not go do stuff. So I'm trying to just bury it here. Yeah. I got the yard done the last 3 or 4 days. I've had a tree crew over here, took out a bunch of trees and limbs and cleaned, and it's just that kind of thing. I just got to get caught up. But mine's a little different than a lot of other people who have to work, you know, in the same town and go home every night. And then at the end of the year, they're ready to take a trip and a vacation. I'm like, I have been on the go all year long. I am ready to chill.
That's right.
You travel so much, you have to be intentional.
And at this point in my life, I got to really realize what's best for health and wellness, you know, all the way around when I'm making some of these decisions. So I've overextended myself one too many times, but I'm going to try to do better at not doing that. Oh my God.
You know,
feel
I don't know if this is tradition or if this is sound and music, but yeah, today I
Wow.
decided to make a firecracker, and this is tradition. I always do that this time of the year. And at some point in Hammock Bay, I will pop off and let them know.
Wow.
Oh yeah, you will. That's what. Look
It
at
looks
that.
like something the
Christmas,
Grinch
like a little
brought to
candy
throw it,
cane.
or it's like a Wile E. Coyote or something. It's got Acme
It's
on the side
exactly
of
what
it.
it
You got to
is.
write Acme on the side.
Yeah.
That is
Oh man. Oh man. Well,
Cannot
look.
wait.
No pun intended. We have had a blast talking about all things Christmas tonight, from traditions that we love to the songs and the movies that make this season so special. We hope your Christmas is filled with joy, laughter, plenty of freaking good food. So from our Tigs Bits family to yours, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We'll see you soon.